What's going on, guys? Just waiting here for this thing to start. Apologize if you were on the last one. I accidentally deleted it. Oops. Okay, it says we're live here. Why is it not starting over here? There it goes. Why is it? So we'll give you guys a little bit of time to jump in the room, being I didn't really let anybody know about the live event. So we'll give everybody a few minutes. Got 2 people watching. Who's in here? Who's watching me now? I apologize for the early live feed, guys. I actually had something come up last minute that I got to do this evening, so I will not be able to join you guys tonight. So I didn't want to leave you completely hanging. So here I am. What do we got in the room? I see 2 people. I'm going to give you guys a cool update on a client that is actually his mother emailed me today. Breakfast. We got 2 people watching, still waiting. I'll probably edit some of this out after, or at least the starting point. All right, so I don't know if everybody else might be either sleeping, at work, doing some fun Saturday stuff. That's why I try to do these at nighttime, but was not able to today, so I apologize. So we'll go ahead and get this started with the 2 of you that are watching, and then the rest can watch later on the recorded feed. So what's going on, guys? Rdap, Dan. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. If you haven't already liked and subscribed and shared my channel, make sure you do that before you leave. That would be awesome. Keep the community growing. Community is method. So as many of you know, I don't just talk to you guys on YouTube. I also text with a lot of you. I email back and forth. There's a lot of phone calls. And some of you have different situations. Some of you just need a little bit of advice. Some of you actually end up needing to hire me to help you, consult you, coach you, whatever it may be. So I've got 2 scenarios here that's going on. I've got not a client, but a potential client maybe that's been emailing me for a couple of days now. What's going on, Kimberly? How you doing? And basically, the client or the potential is a friend of who could be the client. The person's already in federal prison, and they're looking to get their halfway house date. And the hesitation that they're running into and potentially using me is with the conflicting information that they're getting from the case manager at the camp or at the prison. Basically, they're being told that they're not going to get any halfway house time. They're only going to give them the 10% home confinement date. So just so you can catch up in case you don't know what I mean by that, let's say your sentence was 60 months, for an example. That doesn't mean that's how much time you actually served, but that was the imposed sentence from the sentencing judge. So if your sentence is 60 months, whenever you go to halfway house or whatever, you're allowed to do up to 10% of your sentence on home confinement. So let's say you got 8 months of halfway house, 6 months of that time could be done at home confinement. Doesn't mean it will, just means it could. So this particular case manager at the prison is telling this person that they can only do their 10%. They're not going to give them any additional time. So they're a little conflicted with whether or not they should contact me and use my services because they're being told this. So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I'm trying to explain to them that there's a whole nother department that can oversee and overrule whatever decision that the case manager gives them. So it's hard for some people to sometimes understand that because they want to believe everything that they hear, whether it be good or bad, coming from the prison system. So I'm going back and forth with this guy. But there's only so much that I can do. I can explain it to him till I'm blue in the face, but it's got to be up to him to take that leap of faith and put a little trust in it. I apologize, I'm still getting over this cold. Yes, pajamas Saturday. Yeah, it's a great day to do absolutely nothing, isn't it? Gotta love Saturdays sometimes. However, so I got an email yesterday from another client's mother, and I'd like to share it with you guys if that's okay. And this is a great testament to a combination of just what could happen and what will happen if you put in time and effort. Take your vitamin D. Yeah, I know I need to take vitamin D, vitamin C. I need all of them. So apologize, my voice is a little raspy. I'm trying to try not to cough every 3 seconds. So let me go ahead and read this email. All right, this is yesterday. I got this email. Hi, Dan. Just wanted to update you on Chris's situation. He received confirmation yesterday that his halfway house was extended from 6 months to 12 months. We're so excited to have him home. I know the halfway house is not going to be the best, but it sure beats prison. We also can't wait for him to hold his daughter for the first time in over a year. I cannot begin to express our gratitude and love for you and what you've done. If we're not for you, Chris may still be stuck in Manchester. Finding you when we did was a blessing. We were ready to accept the fact that Rdap would not happen. With your help, Chris was moved to Coleman and was able to participate in the Rdap program. Thank you so much, Dan. You're doing an amazing job for families like ours. Chris's grandmother calls you his angel. Thanks again. God bless. Jennifer. So let me give you a little bit of background on Chris and his situation. So Chris was sentenced to 44 months. Okay, his PSR was what it needed to state. He even got a recommendation from the judge to be able to participate in Rdap. He was sentenced to 44 months. So he was recommended Rdap. He had the right information in his PSR. They prepared everything properly. He was prepped to go into his PSR interview. He knew exactly what to say, what not to say. He didn't lie about anything. He just didn't hold back anything. So what happened is he ended up getting designated to a prison that didn't have Rdap. Okay, he was designated to a camp. He was supposed to go to a camp. He was camp eligible, but he got sent to a camp that did not have Rdap. Now, it's 50-50 shot, guys. Just because the judge recommends where you should go and all of this stuff doesn't always mean that's what's going to happen. The BOP is really, at the end of the day, they're the one that do the designations based on availability, programs, relocation to your house, so many different factors play into what prison you're going to go to. Now, when you have Rdap in your PSR and you qualify for Rdap, they're supposed to see these things and hopefully you land in the right spot, but it happens where you do not. So immediately when we found out where he was going, we couldn't stop him from getting there. We tried to do a redesignation before he got there, but it didn't reach the proper parties in time. So we couldn't detour that process. He ended up going to Manchester. And I forgot where that, Kentucky or something. I forgot where that's at now. It's been a while. So we immediately put him in for redesignation. Luckily, he had a long enough sentence to give us that turnaround time to get him redesignated. The problem is when we did his redesignation, we also thought, hey, he's camp eligible, but a lot of camps, their RDAPs get filled up real quick because, as you guys know, a lot of camps only have a couple hundred inmates or so. So we put in there that the inmate does not mind having a manager variable put on him, which can bring him up a level custody to bring him into like a low facility. Even though he's camp eligible, it can allow him to go into a low because of, for whatever the reason being, in this case was RDAP. So he ended up, funny enough, he ended up getting redesignated to Coleman Low, which is the same place I did my RDAP at, which I thought was ironic. But he ended up getting into Coleman Low. 30 days later, after arriving at Coleman, he was able to enter into the RDAP program. And I don't remember all the date frames, guys, or else I'd be telling you like date by date, play by play, but I didn't document it. I should have. This was a while ago. This is when I really first got started, and this was one of the first people that reached out to me. So anyway, so we helped him do the redesignation, got him to Coleman Low. He was able to get into RDAP. RDAP was a rocky road for him. There was times where, just like everybody else, he felt like, he wanted to quit the program. It wasn't worth it. It was stressful, but kept coaching him through it, kept talking to him, kept emailing with him, kept talking to his family, not letting his family enable him. Because even his mom at times would call me up and be like, oh, they're doing this. And I'm like, listen, the program is designed to rattle the shit out of people. That's what it does. So don't buy into his BS. Tell him to suck it up and get home to his daughter. He had a little girl waiting to see him. And I can't remember if it was his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or whatever it was, wouldn't allow the daughter to go to the prison to see him. So he really couldn't see his daughter until this is all said and done. So anyway, he's getting near completion of Rdap, so they put him in for his halfway house time. So of course, they put it in for the 6 months. 6 months is mandatory when you do Rdap. So when his halfway house date came back, we were already prepared. We'd gotten reference letters from his family and friends stating that all the programs they did. I mean, this guy programmed the crap out of not just while he was in Rdap. He took parenting classes. He took fitness classes. He took. Did he do his GED? He may have done his GED in there as well. I can't remember. But anyway, we take all of the programming that is done. We put this into a narrative that goes to a case manager coordinator who oversees the reentry divisions. Just like what this other client is potentially going through right now, where they don't want to give him really any halfway house time at all. He's kind of just almost swallowing that and saying, okay, it is what it is. It doesn't have to be is what it is, guys. You have the ability to fight these things. You just have to know what channels to properly go through. So we helped with the letters. We sent all this information off to the CMC that oversees Coleman. And it took only about 3 weeks from the time that we sent the information out. And she just emailed me yesterday that they got confirmation that she didn't say exactly when he's going home, but he got the full year. So I imagine it's going to, if I remember correctly, it should be within like next 30 to 45 days. He should be heading off to the halfway house. And I think they're from the South Florida area. So he's probably going to go to the West Palm Beach halfway house. So the point and the moral of the story is, guys, is you're going to get what you put into this. If you don't put anything into it and you just kind of leave it up to the powers that be, nothing may happen. You have a lot of play and a lot of persuasion if it's done properly. You can't go complaining to the wrong person because you need to bring the information that you're trying to get to the right audience. If you get in front of the right audience with the right presentation, magical things can happen. And it's not magic. It's not rocket science. It's not some special recipe. What it is it's trial and error. It's people like me that have already gone through this, that we've learned the process, and now we've developed a roadmap for success. That's what this should be titled, Roadmap for Success. But anyway, guys, I wanted to share that with you because way too often do I talk to people on the phone that I think are looking for a reason to find out why it's not going to work, because then they can justify, well, I'm not going to pay any money because it's probably not going to work anyway. It's probably just another, smoke in the clouds, magic man, all this stuff. And guys, it works. For those of you that have followed my situation, and Chris is actually doing a little bit better than me, 44 months, and he's going to serve at the end of the day like 13 and a half months. I'm 42 months and I served 13 months. All I can say is put your time and effort in now. Put in your proper preparation. Take all this shit super seriously. If you haven't already done your PSR, don't walk in there blind. If you haven't already done your personal narrative and your character reference letters, don't just throw them together and think that you're going to like magically persuade the judge. There's got to be a system in place with a goal in mind. All the letters have to be going into the same direction, stating the same thing, but it can't be the same words. It can't be a form. It can't be some template that you downloaded off the internet where you replace the blank with somebody's name and think that that letter is gonna make a difference. Judges, prosecutors, they're wise to this stuff. They think that you're just using some cheap service. What we do is not a cheap service. Even though we help you with your letters and we make edits and recommendations, we still put you on the spot and we expect a lot of work coming from you guys. If you put in that time and you give us the substance that we need, now we have your life, your story, how your friends and family know you, how they know about your crime, how this has affected them, how it's affected you, what you're doing to move forward, what action-based type situations are you putting yourself into now, how are you trying to make a difference, how are you identifying your victims, not just victims from loss or victims that got ripped off. We're talking victims being your family, your kids, your wife, your mother, your daughter, your dog. My dogs were definitely my victims. So you've got to just realize that you may not have it all figured out. And if you think you have it all figured out, you're probably going to be the person that gets smacked on the head and doesn't see it coming. And then you're going to wish you had done something. Then you're going to be scrambling to get any crumbs that are left on the table. Don't settle for crumbs. There's plenty of steak and lobster and shrimp out there for everybody, but you have to be the one to get the ball rolling. I can be on your team all day long. I can shoot 3-pointers. I can slam dunk. I can do whatever it is you guys need me to do if you properly give me the amount of time I need to do it. It's pretty simple, right? Okay. You guys got any questions on that? I know there's only a couple of you in here today. I apologize for those of you that that are used to me going on at 7 o'clock. I've got some stuff going on this evening that just will not allow me to do a video. Trust me, it's been eating me up all day. And I even thought about, just postpone it. I'll do it tomorrow. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing nothing right now. I don't even have my lighting set up. I don't have the webcam set up. I'm just here straight on the laptop. As you notice, the angle's different. I don't have my candles lit in the background. I usually prepare the setting. I put more effort into these than I do like date night. I get my candles. I get the scenery. I mess with the lighting. I try to put up a promo video to promote these things. So guys, how do they determine points? Hi, Dan. Mocha Pena. Is it Pina or Pena? How do I pronounce that? And I believe you are new. Welcome to the community, Mocha. If you haven't already, I don't think I've seen you live. Maybe you've been watching some other videos, but welcome to the live show with Rdap Dan. All that you said applies to me. I know it does, Johnny. I know it does. It applies to everybody. It's just a matter of people realizing that it applies for them. Should include collateral consequences in my narrative. Yes, you should include everything in your narrative. You just want to have somebody reviewing your narrative to make sure that it makes sense and it's not like all over the place. I'm getting money together, bud. I know you are, Johnny. And Johnny, I didn't forget about you, man. I really am trying to see what I can do for you. I know you're in a rough spot. And man, these guys that I use, they're just tapped out to like April, May, maybe April. I know for sure May I'll have somebody available for you, or I'll have somebody available. Then it determines whether or not who they want to pick up and how much they're willing to sponsor. So I know you're trying to, man. I talked to you before. I'm from Florida. All right. What's your, obviously, I'm sure your name's not Mocha, or at least when we spoke on the phone, I don't remember talking to a Mocha, but I do remember most conversations that I have with people just because there's always a little bit of uniqueness in each one. I know you do, Johnny. You're on my mind. You're on my prayers, bud. I know it. I know what you're going through. I know you're tapped out. You spent a small fortune on attorneys for them to croak and then do nothing. So it's horrible. But, preparation. That's all you guys can really do is prepare, not waste time, not sit in the dark, not go into self-sabotage mode where you're pity party and you're stuck in, just a sad state of mind. You really can't allow yourself to dwell in negativity for too long. We all know what happens. We all know that this is a sad, negative experience that we're going through. But at some point, you just have to pick your head up and you got to do forward and realize that there's probably nothing you can do to prevent going to federal prison. But you can intervene and mitigate on how long you might have to be there for. So that's the next best thing. Talking to people for letters and stuff so I can have them when I hire you. Very cool, man. And guys, look, every day when I'm not on here talking to you guys, I'm doing research. I'm updating my software. We've got my CRM, which is my client relation management tool that I use to help me keep track of everybody, status of letters, what's going on. That's been updated again over the last couple days to shoot reminders out to me and to you. We don't want to leave anything up to chance from human error. Obviously, there's a huge there's a huge part of this that requires human touch. But at the same time, I don't want anybody to ever suffer from, oh man, I didn't hear from you for a while, or you forgot about my letters. That will never happen, guys. I make sure that me and my team are on point. I know how important this is to you guys, and I just want you guys to be able to get the service that you need, hands down, of course that. But at the same time, the anxiety that you guys go through, I know that that can be sometimes the worst part of it. And by staying busy and by preparing, not only is it helping you maybe get a lower sentence, but it's helping you focus, and it's helping you stay positive in your mind, because it does get better. There's light at the end of the tunnel, guys. Prison's not forever. Prison's not the worst place. It sounds like the worst place in the world because of the connotation that comes with it from what we've seen on TV and media and things like that. But for the most part, where a lot of you are going, no, it's not going to be the worst spot in the world. You've probably been to some worse places. You've probably been to some worse schools in your life. Definitely waiting in the DMV and the tax collector's office is worse than prison. Prison is better than the tax collector's office. I'd rather go sit in prison for 6 hours than go sit in the tax collector's office for 6 hours. So keep that in mind, guys. It doesn't have to be a horrible experience. You're going to go to prison. Your body is locked up. You do not have to lock up your mind. You can stay focused. You can keep your mind out of prison with so many things between books. You know, and there's not, I'm not going to knock anybody for going in and reading, you know, fantasy books, because it is an escape. It's like watching movies. But take this time to reinvent yourself. Reading nonsense books is great to pass time, yes, but find educational books that can help you prepare for what it is that you want to do into the future. This is a great time to really decide what you want to do when you get out of prison. Now, with that said, keep in mind when you get out of prison, there is going to be some additional issues you're going to deal with between like halfway house, probation, being a felon. So you have to also accept all of that, gather all of that, absorb that, and make that part of your plan. So whatever it is that you want to do, imagine there's going to be several hurdles that you have to overcome. Because if you just imagine what you want to do and you think it's going to be that easy, immediately you can set yourself up for quick failure and make it easy to give up and say, oh, no one's going to give a felon a chance. No one's going to give somebody with tattoos a chance. These are things that aren't necessarily true. Just because they're hurdles doesn't make them roadblocks completely. Hey, do you know the new laws for federal prison, like serving 85%? Well, yeah, you do. That's what you serve. You serve 85% of your time, and anything else on top of that, like halfway house is not part of the 85%, because when you're in the halfway house, you're still serving your 85%. You're still in BOP custody. When you're on home confinement, you're still serving part of that 85% because you're still in BOP custody. Now, if you get Rdap, so for example, let's say you got, you know, whatever, like Chris got 44 months minus his good time, which is the 15%. So he's going to serve 85% of that, brings it down to like 37 months. Then his Rdap took off 12 months, which brought him down to like 25 months. And then he just found out he got the 12 months halfway house. So that brought his actual sitting in prison time down to 13 months. That other 12 months that he got halfway house, that's still considered he's going to do it in the BOP, but he's just not going to be doing it at the prison. He'll be doing it partially in the halfway house and partially in home confinement. Does that make sense to you, Johnny? But there's a lot of, when you say new laws, there's rumors that they're bringing back. They're going to, instead of 85%, it's going to be 65%, things like that. None of that has been set in stone yet. There's been nothing passed. No one's under those new guidelines yet. So that's stuff that's just gossip and hype. So don't bank on none of that yet. There's good time in federal prison. Man, Johnny, where have you been? Yes, there's good time in federal prison. Right out of the gate, they take off 15%. Before you step in prison, like when your release date shows up on the BOP's website, it's going to minus the 15%. So yes, there absolutely is good time in federal prison. They can take that good time from you. You get caught doing something stupid, cell phones, cigarettes, drugs, fighting, stealing, nonsense like that, yeah, you can lose your good time, and that's no good, because a lot of times you can lose your good time, you can lose Rdap, you can lose potential halfway house time that you may have been able to get. So keep your nose clean, keep focused, think of your family, think of what your plan is, and don't deviate. Don't get complacent, because when you get complacent and you think you got it all figured out, that's when shit goes wrong and the rug gets pulled out and you're all combobbled and dazed and confused. So yeah, stick to a plan. Plans work. They just got to be realistic. Short-term goals lead to long-term goals, guys. Can't just have a long-term goal with no roadmap how to get there. It doesn't work that way. You know, you type in your GPS to go from here to wherever you're going to go. Your GPS isn't just going to all of a sudden show you where you're going. It's going to show you step by step, turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right. Gives you that immediate roadmap to where you need to go. You guys got to plan it. Okay, yeah, that's the 15% my attorney said. I didn't know that's what it was. Yes, yes. Attorneys probably don't explain things very well. I don't know why. I imagine if I were going to be a federal attorney, maybe it's just because of what I've already gone through, I think differently. But I imagine if I were going to be a federal attorney, I would want to have a better understanding of how to, because these are questions that I imagine every attorney must get. Are there programs I can take to shave down my time? How's halfway house work? Can I go to home confinement? These got to be common questions an attorney gets. I can't picture an attorney going, I don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah, just giving you some bullshit answer just to like get you off his back. Wouldn't it be easier if they just knew the answer so they didn't have to, you know, act like they do when they don't? It's kind of messed up, but you know, is what it is. Attorneys are there. They serve a purpose. They're I guess a mouthpiece. You know, I don't really know what great purpose they serve for the most part, but I guess they serve some kind of a purpose. They're there to make sure you don't get yourself into more trouble. They make the laws so confusing that you have to have an attorney in order to represent yourself, because if you try to get up there and talk, they just tell you, oh, you can't say it that way. You can't say it this way. It's like it's a dog and pony show, guys. It's kind of sad and disgusting on how the system works, not just federal, state, whatever you want to call it. Everything is a little, they make it more political than it needs to be, but whatever. So hope you guys are having a good Saturday. I'm probably going to do some Saturday things, a little laundry, make a little lunch. I have some leftover steak from last night, so I might have that for lunch. Actually makes me hungry just thinking about it. These protein shakes don't do a whole lot. There is coffee in the protein shake though, so I can get that zippity doodah feeling. Who else we got in here? Anybody else? Any other questions? Because if we don't, it's okay. It's Saturday afternoon. You guys are probably, well, most of you are on the East Coast. What time is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 4 o'clock for most of you. So you guys should be wide awake, getting ready to do something. For those of you that aren't like on home confinement, I hope you're going to go do something this Saturday evening. Even if you're broke and you don't have anything to do, don't sit in the house and be, you know, go for a walk, go to a movie, go out to dinner with your child, your son, your daughter, your mother, your girlfriend, your husband. So I'm getting 60 months, right? Take a 15%, 6 months of halfway house, and 12 months for Rdap. What else can they take off? Another 6 months for halfway house for one. You can get 12 months halfway house there, Johnny boy. So that can be 24 months on top of your good time. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys, is that extra halfway house is the real kicker. You get 6 months automatic for Rdap, but you go through the appeal process with the CMC or the case manager coordinator, you can get an additional 6 months, just like Chris that I just explained to you. You got 12 months for Rdap and you got 12 months for halfway house, 24 months off of a 44-month sentence. Not too shabby at all. We all could use that kind of a gift going to federal prison. Does everybody deserve it? I can't because I'm on home confinement. All right, well, bring the party to you, Johnny. Tell your friends and family to bring the party to you. That's all you got to do. You can't go anywhere, but people can come there, right? Got a grill? Fire it up. Tell somebody to bring some charcoal. Everybody bring a little dish. Party at Johnny's house. Stay away from the liquor. Stay away from any drugs. If anybody brings drugs, call the cops on them. 5K1 them. Learn how to be a 5K1er for life. That will keep you out of future conspiracies. If you learn how to 5K1 properly now, future conspiracies you won't be a part of. And for those of you that won't 5K1, well, go join a conspiracy party. That's what I got to say, because I'm done with the conspiracies. Never again. I'm done with the fair weather friends. I'm done with the people that want to hold me down, with the people that want to think negative all the time. You can't find something positive to talk about. Who's got that friend out there that no matter what, how was your day today? Oh, work was this. Oh, stuck in traffic. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, blah. Man, if that person can't shake out of that dwelling negativity, You don't need anybody like that around your life. You just don't. They bring you down. A negative mood is like cancer. That shit spreads and grabs a hold of you. And next thing you know, you're sitting there complaining about your day. When a few minutes ago, you're in a good mood. You can't realize how your mood snaps so fast. It's because of the negativity you surround yourself by. Birds of a feather flock together. But then I want to get drunk and dance. Well, there's nothing wrong with dancing, but you don't need to get drunk to have a good time, man. You know, you can get drunk on fun. I'm telling you, it's a state of mind. Once you can get your state of mind right and you loosen up and you have a good time, you start laughing, play some cards, play some board games. Maybe you got some video game. I'm a video game. I love to play video games, even though I haven't for a while. Man, I was a big Call of Duty guy. I love my Call of Duty. I loved all the Grand Theft Autos. I just haven't had the time. You know, this is my new hobby, clearly. It's my new hobby / career hobby. I get paid for what I like to do. So this is like getting paid to play video games to me. But I spend a lot of time on YouTube on what I can do to grow my channel, promote my channel, give you guys good content. And I thought today was really interesting. For those of you that are just joining the video, make sure when it's over, you go back and watch the beginning, because we talk about a client that had 44 months that got sent to a prison that didn't have Rdap. We had to go through a process to get him redesignated to a prison that does have Rdap. So we got through Rdap, got the year off, and then they only gave him 6 months. So then we did the letter services through the case manager coordinator on the appeal process, and we just found out we got him an additional 6 months. So thanks to this client putting in hard work, time, effort, allowing me to do what we do best, he was able to knock 24 months off of a sentence. And I think he goes home in like a month-ish, something like that. He gets to go home, see his daughter for the first time. It's amazing. It's amazing what can happen when you work for it. It's amazing. So I can only get 6 months, 6 more months beside the 6 months I have already, or 12 more months after my son. Okay, Johnny, you can get a total of 6 months halfway house, total. And you can get a total of 12 months for Rdap. So you can get combination between Rdap and halfway house, 24 months on top of your good time. So after your good time is taken away, you can get 24 months more. That's as good as it's going to get, unless you escape. You give me hope, Dan. I know, Mike. I know, man. I know. And I'm trying not to give any false hope. I'm trying not to give false expectations. Not everybody gets the best deal in town, but you always end up with something better than what you thought you were going to get if you really put in the time and effort. Really, really, really put in that time and effort. You can't stress that you got to work hard. When you're in prison, just going through the motions isn't good enough. You got to excel in everything that you're doing. You got to be not a leader amongst other people, but you got to be a leader in your own mind. If you have something to offer, go be a mentor to other inmates. If you've got some education, go help the GED classes with reading, writing, math, things like that. If you've got kids, take the parenting class. If you think you're the best parent in the world already, you're fucking wrong, because you're going to federal prison. So clearly you're not the best parent in the world right now, right? You're leaving your kids. You know, one of the things they asked me in an RDAP is, Mr. Wise, would you ever do anything to hurt your children? Of course not. Who would ever do that? What do you think you're doing right now by sitting here with me instead of being home with your kids? Okay, you got me. I'm hurting my kids. I get it. So are you guys, putting your kids and your family through fucking hell right now. So do them a favor and take these classes and see what you can learn from it. If you find yourself with an edgy temper, take anger management classes. They got them in prison. They're great classes. They're ran by other inmates that know this shit like the back of their hand, better than any teacher could ever teach it, because they've lived it. They're in prison because of it. And now they're re-educating, not educating, re-educating. Sometimes some of us have education and we have to unlearn to relearn. So when you go into prison, there's going to be a re-education process if you allow it to take place. So once you re-educate yourself on what it's like to be a parent, once you re-educate yourself on what it's like to control your anger, once you re-educate yourself on what it's like to look at your own flaws and your own problems and expose them and talk about them and be not ashamed of it, you got to re-educate yourself to be able to do that properly, because once you can do that, you no longer mask anything in your life. You expose it out there for the world to see, and guess what? You won't be as you won't think what you thought you were going to think. Right now, you feel like, I don't want everybody to see how not together I really am. All you're going to learn is that most people don't have their shit together. Most people are not prepared for life. Most people do not know how to make proper goals short term to reach their long term. They do not know how to do it. So by you exposing these nerves to this catastrophic pain that you're going to go through doing it, you're going to reinvent yourself, you're going to re-educate yourself, and you're going to come out way better than you went in. Even if you don't grasp everything, just a little bit, the seeds are going to be planted, and it might be 5 years from now when something that we're talking about right now sinks in. You're like, this is what he was talking about. I get it now. It's like the Matrix. It opens up. You have this epiphany to where all of a sudden you see things through a different perspective and you never saw them before. And that keeps growing on itself. Like right now, I see things a certain way, which for me, it's more clear than I've ever seen it in my life. But years from now, I might look back and see things in a whole different light that I feel like, man, if only I knew that now. So don't ever stop learning. Don't ever stop growing. What was a day like in Rdap? Do you know any federal camps in Houston, Texas? Mocha Pena, if you go on to the BOP.gov website, there's a location button. And on that location button, you can select by, actually, I might have it up right here. Guys, hold on one second. I'm going to check for Mocha about federal camps in Houston, Texas. All right, let's see what camps we got in Texas. Okay, guys, let's see what we got here. And my internet's being kind of screwy, guys. Trying to look up some camps in Texas. Let's see what we got. Okay, in Texas, we've got Beaumont. Beaumont has a camp, FPC, and there's a bunch of prisons in Texas. If you go to each one of them, a lot of times, even if it says like FCI, a lot of times it will say has a adjacent camp. But I do see at least one, FPC Beaumont, in Texas. So your answer is yes, there are some camps in Texas, so hopefully that helps you out a little bit. I went to BOP orientation in Vegas Thursday. It was really useful and helped a lot. Was that through your probation officer by chance? I know a lot of probation does that on pretrial. They have kind of like orientation for what to expect in prison. Nelson Jr. asked me, what is a day like in Rdap? That's a long conversation, Nelson, and I'm going to try to explain it to you in like the 60-second. The BOP staff acted a little arrogant. Yeah, look, you're going to learn very little from, I mean, not very little. You just got to realize that the staff is arrogant. They're not there to be your buddy. But so Nelson, a day in Rdap. You wake up. Breakfast starts serving around, I think it's 5:30. 5:30, you can get up. You can either go to the chow hall, or you can, if you've got your own breakfast, like every morning I used to make my own breakfast. I used to have a little bag of dry oats, a little bag of what we called California Gold. California Gold was like kind of like trail mix, but it had like your little banana, dried banana, fruit, nuts, raisins, things like that. I would mix that with a little bit of oatmeal, and that would be my breakfast. And I would drink some coffee. That would be my breakfast. I would take a shower usually the night before. Sometimes I'd get up nice and early and take a morning shower because, you freshen up if you get a nice hot shower. And then Rdap, the class, or the morning meeting starts at 7:30. So from like 6 to 7, I'd go sit right outside our unit. We had these concrete tables that were right outside of the unit. And, it's usually still dark out, and it's kind of cool. We were in Florida, so it wasn't cold, but it was kind of cool. And I would just sit out there and drink my coffee and look at the sky and just kind of clear my mind. Sometimes I might bring my headset with me and listen to a little music just to get my energy right for the day. And then about 10 minutes before the morning meeting would start, I'd go put all my stuff away, make sure my bed was nice and tight. Before you go into your class in Rdap, your bed's got to be made perfect. It's got to be tucked in. There can't be anything out of place. Your locker's got to be locked. Everything's got to be where it needs to be. Your area can't be messy, because while you're in the morning meeting, other inmates that are trustee inmates in that unit will come through and do dorm checks, and they do inspection. If they find shit out of place, your bed's not made, they'll come call you out of the morning meeting and you get in trouble for that. So I used to really take a few minutes to make sure, because, you know, after you make your bed, you might sit on it for a minute while you drink some coffee. After you get up, you want to make sure it's nice and tight. I mean, you want that thing like military ready, right? Your clothes need to be nice and sharp and creased and ironed and laid out right. You can't have any wrinkles or stains on your clothes. You want to make sure you got your good Rdap uniform ready to go. Go get in that morning meeting. You sit anywhere you want in the morning meeting. Get your seat, and the morning meeting starts. The morning meeting goes from like 7:30 to 9. During that morning meeting, we have different things like news and weather, and it's always conducted by a different inmate each day. So every section is done by an inmate. So you have news and weather. That's going to be by an inmate. Once he's finished with news and weather, everybody claps. He sits down. Then you have another, you might have a word of the day or a thought of the day. He'll get up with a word that he had approved. Maybe the word is like success. And he'll say something like success. Here and today, how success is affecting my life is you don't want to transparent and go back too far in your life. You want to talk about here and now. So you want to talk about what success means to you. Success means getting up every day, doing the things that I don't necessarily want to do, but I do them because I know they're right. And if I continue to put success forward in my life, when I leave this place and I continue these habits, success will be something that's a part of my everyday life, depending on what that is, blah, 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 blah. Somebody will comment on that. They'll say what success means to them. Everybody claps. That guy sits down. Then you'll have community news. Somebody will get up and say, does anybody have any community news? Somebody will raise their hand. Just want to make the unit aware. Today at 3 o'clock, we're going to be buffing the floor, so please plan your day accordingly. This part of the room will be unusable from 3 to 4 o'clock. A couple people will stand up. You know, people are leaving messes in the bathroom. We need to clean up after ourselves, blah, 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 blah. The big part of the morning meeting, obviously, that everybody waits for and doesn't really like is the part of the morning where it's called the pull-ups. Pull-ups are where you hold other people accountable for actions that they did that they were out of line on, and you'll stand up and you'll say your name and you'll say, I'm going to hold you accountable today. You broke this rule, you broke that rule. I saw you smoking. You're struggling with whatever area you're struggling in. You give them a corrective behavior and how to fix it. They get some feedback from other people in the audience or other members of Rdap. And then from there, the morning finishes up and you go from there to your content group, which will go for another hour. So from 7:30 to 9, you have the morning meeting. Then from 9 to about 11, you'll have content group. Content's where you go through your book work, you study, find out where you are, talk about criminal thinking, you learn your different behaviors. From there, you go to lunch, come back from lunch. The day's pretty open from that point. You still have to stay and focus in mind, because if you start slipping up and doing stupid things, other inmates will see you and they'll hold you accountable the next morning. So that's pretty much a day in Rdap. You have to stay what's called, I forgot what it's called. Man, sorry guys, blanked out on it. You got to be in full uniform, like code A or dress code A, whatever it was called. You got to be full uniform. You got to have your boots on, shirt tucked in, can't be untucked. You can't come out of that until 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, you can put your sneakers back on and stuff like that. If you're going to go to the rec yard, obviously, if you're going to go out and work out, you can come out of Class A. Class A, that's what it's called. You can come out of Class A and put on like a T-shirt and pants and shorts and go out to the rec yard. But if you're going to be in the unit during that time frame, you got to be full Class A uniform all the time. What's up, Mike? Dan, I just got a chance to join the live meeting. I need to talk to you, please. Can you call after this? Something came up Friday. I'm sorry to ask in the middle of the live show. Can you email? I can email you my number. Absolutely, Mike. Send me your email and we will, or send me your phone number or text it to me. You've got my phone number. Here, Mike, if you don't have my phone number, make it easy for you. 509-434-4695. So shoot me a text, Mike, with your phone number, and as soon as I'm done here, I will shoot you a call. I won't be on here too much longer. Didn't answer straight. Example, they wouldn't answer whether camp is better than low, but a speaker pulled me aside after and talked about 30 minutes about differences. He said camp is absolutely better. Camps are better in the aspect of there's less control, there's less policing, there's less like staff, but in the aspect of the work ratio, you're working your ass off because it's a work camp, so you're definitely going to be working way more. little minor infractions are considered bigger infractions in a camp because you have more freedom, more responsibility. So if you get caught doing something stupid in a camp, you get bumped up to a low as a consequence. On the other hand, lows, they're not work camps. You have jobs, but there's so many inmates at a low that if you don't want to work, you really don't have to, unless you're in Rdap. Rdap will make you get a job, but you can get whatever job you want just to pass time. You can get a job that's once a week if you want. So camps and lows both have their, usually lows are going to have more things to offer, more activities, more sports, more workout type routines, more equipment, because camps are smaller group of people. So it really depends. There's more rules in a low, you know. I did my time in a low. I spoke to a lot of guys at a camp, and I really kind of enjoyed my time at the low. I kind of did my own thing. There was enough people to where I wasn't on a spotlight at all. So yeah, guys, camps and lows, different. Camps got no fence, open compound. You can get a job like driving, where you're driving people around outside of the prison. You can get that kind of responsibility. So there's things like that that you can do. Camp, you're outside. Camp, you're not outside, are you? What do you mean outside? Some of your jobs, if you're working at a camp, your job might be outside of the prison. You might be working a maintenance crew that, you know, you're not at the prison. Camps are definitely, if you know you're the type of person that suffers with temptation, I mean, camps are going to be rough for you because there's a lot of temptation at a camp. Cell phones, women, men, if you're a female camp. You know, people sneak in, sneak out. So you just got to really be careful. Like, oh, no tents. It's an actual, you know, yeah, it's not that kind of camp. It's not like a campsite with fires and stuff like that. It's just a camp environment. It's just low custody. Glenn Travers. Hello, Dan. Hey, what's going on, Glenn? Hello, welcome to the live show here with Rdap Dan. I hope you subscribed. I'm sure you did if you're on here. But I love it when we see new people. And Glenn, I don't know if you just jumped on, if you missed some of what we were talking about today. Today we were kind of talking about preparation. And when the video is over, if you go back and watch the first 10 minutes, I pretty much talked the main portion about what's going on. You know, clients that have trouble getting into different programs. You know, you're qualified for Rdap, but they accidentally send you to the wrong prison. So then you got to get redesignated. That's what happened to a client of mine. He was Rdap qualified. The judge recommended it, but they sent him to a camp that did not have Rdap. We had to redesignate him to a prison that did have Rdap. He made it through Rdap, qualified for the year off. Halfway house, we went and appealed that process through a case manager coordinator at the CMC department. We got him an additional 6 months halfway house. So he got 24 months for that. Well, 12 months halfway, 12 months Rdap, so 24 combined, plus his good time. That's like 2.5 years off of a sentence. So these are the kind of things that you can look forward to when you properly prepare, use the tools for the right job. Maybe I'm part of that tool, I don't know. I can help anybody that allows me to help them. I'm hoping to get into a camp or a low. You know, if you're thinking you're going to go to a camp or a low, more than likely that's where you're going. If you've got, you know, this is your first time going to prison, you don't have a whole bunch of priors, you know, and priors can be anything. Priors can be DUIs, they can be suspended driver's licensing. So priors can really, you know, they can pop out of nowhere. It doesn't mean you had to go to prison before to have a prior. So if you guys got DUIs and suspended driver's licenses in the last, you know, 10 years or so, you know, consider that may affect your points and where you go. But Nelson, I'm sure, you know, look, a camp and a low, to me, like if you get either one of those, don't think you got gypped. Both of those are non-political, whites, blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Indians. You can all commingle, do whatever you want, eat lunch together, eat dinner together, play sports together, can bunk together. You know, there's no race cards in there. You don't have to hang out with your own kind. You can just do your time the way you want to do it. I have that, Dan. I know you do, Johnny. I know. And something we're trying to figure out for you, bud. But, you know, it doesn't mean just because you have a DUI doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to go to a camp. It just means your points are a little bit higher than what they could have been. You just go to prison. In the UK, there is no jail. You just go to prison. Glenn, you're in the UK, I take it, huh? Is that where you live, Glenn, or you travel to the UK and you know a little bit of UK history? Nelson Jr. Yes, it's my first time. My lawyer said anywhere from 36 to 43 months for my initial charge, but I haven't been indicted yet. Okay, well, just know 37 months or 36 months or less kind of kicks you out of getting Rdap for you can't get 12 months off for Rdap if you have under 37 months. So if you get sentenced to 36 months, for an example, you're looking at 6 to 9 months off for the Rdap program if you qualify for Rdap. If you're under 24 months, you probably won't get any time at all off for the program. Still worth taking it, I'll tell you that right now. If you find out you're not going to get time off for Rdap, still take it, because if you qualify and complete it, you can still you're guaranteeing yourself the 6 months halfway house, so it's still worth it. You know, Todd is not on at the moment, Mike. I forgot to text him. I think he has notifications turned off. Damn you, Todd. Damn you, Todd. You and your notifications turned off. But yeah, he's not on at the moment. But if you would like to speak to Todd, Mike, I can definitely pass you Todd's phone number as well. He's talked to a lot of my clients because he's also got so much information to share with what he's going through. Glenn Travers lives in the UK. How awesome is that? I've got somebody watching from the UK. It's kind of cool. So yeah, thank you for watching, Glenn. That's awesome, man. I really love having you here in the US. The United States has a pretty effed up prison system, doesn't it, Glenn? I imagine that you see ours and you really can like see the flaws in it because you live in another country that does things completely different. What is the furthest away you've heard of someone sent to? Man, I've seen people go straight from Florida to California or California to Florida. You know, it depends. Typically, they're not going to send you far away unless you've got some kind of reason, like you're in a gang or there's violence or you've got a bunch of co-conspirators that are spread out that you can't be around. If they're sending you far away, it's usually for your protection, like you're out of a gang or something like that. Miss Dutchie, what's going on, Miss Dutchie? How are you today? Okay, thank you. Can you pass that along when we talk? Absolutely. Absolutely. I sure will. I don't understand it at all. I hear you, Glenn. I don't understand it at all, and I live here. It's, you know, the best thing I can say, Glenn, is it's very political here. And what I've noticed, more so now that I've like opened my eyes to how things really work, is most of us, myself included, we really, really pay attention to what we see and hear on TV, and we take that to be the truth. When we hear about somebody getting in trouble, we automatically assume that they must be monsters and they did these horrible, heinous crimes. We don't really realize that sometimes somebody made a mistake and, you know, they really are sorry for what they did. And they don't necessarily deserve a lengthy prison sentence, or they don't need a lengthy prison sentence to learn from their mistakes. But here in the United States, it's been a big topic for a long time: prison reform, prison movements, things like this. It's been a big topic that too much time is given out to non-violent criminals, whether it be non-violent drug charges, non-violent white-collar criminals. Now, some white-collar criminals, you really have to look into the situation a little bit more. What kind of victim impact did they have? Like when you take like a Bernie Madoff, I mean, clear as day, that guy wrecked people. He was a wrecking ball that just wrecked people's lives. I'm sure there was people that committed suicide because of him, people that lost their families because of him. So somebody like a Bernie Madoff, I don't feel like he got a light sentence or that he got a harsh sentence. I feel like he got what he had coming to him. But you take other guys that it's considered a white-collar crime and there was really no victims, or they were able to repay, you know, okay, do they need something? Do they need to learn the lesson? Yeah. Do they need 10, 15 years in prison? Probably not. But that's an opinion. And until enough of us have a united voice and enough of us speak our mind and enough of us stop paying attention to what we read and hear and do our own homework and come to our own conclusions, this shit's just going to perpetuate until, you know, we're tired of complaining about it. So it doesn't do any good to complain about it. You've either got to be part of the problem or part of the solution. We're not free. This is why I love what you're doing here. Thank you, Glenn. It's scary how the prison system works in the US compared to here in Europe. Ms. Dutchie, you're in Europe. Well, I got Europe. I got the UK in the house. All right. Look at this. Rdap Dan, traveling the world. I've never been out of the country, but I feel like right now I'm out of the country. It's kind of neat. I'm like connecting with the world. Someday we'll be having this, like, oh, I'm on Mars, I'm on Jupiter. That's next, right? We're going to be having other planets transmitting because we're slowly destroying our universe with our plasma TVs and our Coca-Cola. It's a whole nother topic. Go green. No, I'm guilty of that too, guys. But you got to be, look, if you're doing stuff out there that you know is wrong and you're aware of it, you know, you're one step closer to going in a new direction. You know, just because someone shows you the reason why you shouldn't be vegan or why you shouldn't eat animals and why you shouldn't, you know, all these things that maybe aren't the best thing in the world to be doing, doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to turn around and 100% change. But slowly it becomes more and more aware in your everyday life, and you start making progress here and there, right? You have goals. Maybe the goal is to become a full vegan, but you got to have your short-term goals. You can't just all of a sudden turn it off because you might not be able to handle that, and it might last for a week and then it fizzles out. So process. Change is a process, guys, not an immediate event. I learned that in Rdap. Switzerland, born in the Netherlands. This is awesome. It's like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego right now? Are there any other programs that take off time off your sentence? Not that I'm aware of, Junior. Not in the federal prison system anyway, Junior. Federal prison system, the only one I'm aware of that actually takes time off of your sentence is the residential drug addiction program, aka Rdap. Even the halfway house doesn't take time off of your prison sentence. Halfway house is still considered part of your prison sentence. You're just not doing it at the prison. You're doing it at the halfway house or home confinement. Do they have death sentences for federal? I do not believe they have the death sentence for, actually, I think they do, guys. I think they do. John L. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. Laws of this country absolutely suck. The government corruption is out of control, especially with drug type charges. John L., obviously you're stating some good information there, but you know what I say to people that make statements like that, and I agree with you, not disagreeing with you at all. You know, you need to break that down for people. You know, the best way you can. Break down where it's broken. Break down where it sucks. Break down where the corruption is. Dissect it so people can see it. Just making that statement is easy. You know, oh, people suck. Well, why do they suck? My job sucks. Why does it suck? It's not fair that I went to prison. Why isn't it fair? You know, if you can make somebody else understand your point of view, doesn't mean people have to agree with you. But part of communication, guys, is if you make a statement, it's my job to understand that statement. So if you're going to make a statement and you're going to make a bold statement, be able to back it up, because that's what's important here, guys. If you want to get your point across, you got to explain it properly. That's why we take a lot of time in these videos and we break down the processes. I don't just tell you guys, oh, I can get you time off of prison. I can get you on Rdap. I can get you halfway house time. I explain my methods. And I'm not giving away the sauce, because just because I tell you guys how to do it doesn't mean you can go do it, right? Some of you might be able to figure it out, and that's great. If you can go figure out what you need to do and you don't need to hire me, more power to you, man, because I'm not here just to see who I can get signed up as a prison consultant. I'm here to share information with a community of like-minded individuals that want to also better their situation and not spend the rest of their life in federal prison or spend the rest of their life in a revolving door that potentially lands them back in prison. So by all means, if you can decipher what I'm telling you and you can get this going on your own, go do it. But if you can't, I'm here to help. And yeah. So John L., retired law enforcement. Hope you're a subscriber, John, because it's great. Look, this is what makes this community cool, guys. We can have people that committed crimes. We can have people that have been in a position of power, whether it be law enforcement, prosecutors, judges, probation officers. At the end of the day, we all have something in common. We're all human. We're all here because either we know somebody or we did make a mistake ourselves, and we're trying to figure out what we can do to correct these behaviors that we went wrong. We've all got issues that we can work on. I don't care if you've ever been in trouble or not. Everybody's made a mistake, and some mistakes get caught, some don't. Some have worse consequences than others. I've seen people that have done way worse crimes get way less time versus somebody that did like something you wouldn't even think they're going to prison for, and they get the book thrown at them. So there's no exact rhyme or reason, but usually when you follow something from A to Z, you'll see where deviations separate why somebody gets more time. They made mistakes, they lied, they weren't completely honest, they had a dirty UA, you know, but at the end of the day, you look at, oh, this is what he did, this is what he got, that's not fair. How did he conduct himself when he was out on pretrial probation? Was he an asshole? Did he give his probation officer a ton of grief? Was he always pissing dirty? Did he not show up on time? Did he quit his job? Did he not? Was he showing that he was not a good candidate to be ready to re-enter back into society? If that's the case, maybe the judge is like, you need a little bit more time than this guy does. This guy's, yes, his crime was worse, but he seems like he's owned up to it more, and he's done everything he's supposed to do from now until the time he's going into prison. I don't see any reason to sentence him to the high end of the guidelines. His family, his friends, they look like they're going to hold him accountable. I read their letters. They don't just sound like, oh, boo-hoo for him. They sound like, hey, man, he messed up. He's owning up to it. We're here for him. We love him. If he messes up again in the future, we're going to be the ones that call the cops on him. If you guys prepare right, good things happen. There is a death penalty in the federal prison. I thought so. I enjoy your videos. It's great what you're doing to help people that are down and out. Thank you, John. And you are a subscriber. All right. Guys, this community is growing pretty fast. I'm not going to lie. You know, I don't have thousands of subscribers, but we are a very niche community. And most of the people that come to my channel for a specific reason. They're not just coming here for humor and funny content and entertainment. There's some other guys out there that I love. You know, I love watching the entertaining guys, the entertaining prison guys. I love watching it, but it's entertainment. If you look at their subscriber list, it's mostly just people that aren't going to get in any trouble. They're just there to watch a good time. The subscribers that we're gathering here are all people that are interested in actual relevant prison content, preparing, going to prison, what's prison really like, things like that. And that's what makes this channel so awesome. It's growing by like 20-something subscribers a week right now. I've had some local newspapers that have reached out, that have found me through, you know, various networks that would like to do little interviews here and there. And I'm all for that stuff, guys, because that spreads the word out there. That's what this whole YouTube channel was started from the beginning. I really wanted to talk to people about what I went through, because I realized how many people are going through exactly the same steps that I went through, and how many people actually thought they were all alone and nobody else was experiencing it. At one point or another, we all felt like the system is picking on me, and this isn't fair because this isn't how the system is supposed to work. Why am I the only one getting picked on? Well, when you stop beating yourself up and you peek your head out of the sand and you look around, you really realize that, holy shit, I am not the only one. There's a mass community of people that are getting railroaded just like me. Holy cow, how do I reach out to them? How does our voice become united instead of each of us living in our own individual bubble? That's the problem. We're also focused on ourselves and not what we can do to help others. And by helping others, you help yourself. By me making these videos to help you guys, it helps me. It helped me find a career I didn't intend on. It helped me have a badass YouTube channel that I'm super proud of, that I went and had shirts made and, you know, have other stuff coming, because I take pride in this stuff. I'm completely proud of my YouTube channel, and I'm not ashamed of anything that I talk about on here. I love the fact that somehow this turned into a career that allows me to do exactly what I love to do and get paid to do it. It gives me goosebumps when I think about it. If I hadn't gone to prison, or I hadn't used my time in prison wisely, I do not know what I would be doing right now. Actually, I probably do. I'd probably be working or managing or owning a call center environment. Paying the bills with it, yes. Passion and love for it, no. Feeling fulfilled at the end of the day, no. Not at all. It's not what I love to do. And I didn't know. I've always enjoyed making little like short films. I've actually got an older YouTube channel. If you guys are bored, here, why don't you guys check this out? If you go, I don't know if I can post a link in here, but I'm going to show you guys. You guys want to see an old YouTube channel from me that's got little short films in it? Let me pull it up for you guys here, and let me see if I can share it. I don't know if I can put links in here. How fun will this be? Oh, I found it. So let's see. All right, so here is an old YouTube channel, guys, that I had back in the day. This has nothing to do about prison or anything like that. This was just me and my buddies making little short films for film festivals and some videos I did with my kids, and I try to do a little production company making commercials. So if you get bored and you want to go look at some of my stuff on YouTube back in the day, well, there you go. There's early days of Rdap Dan. Rdap Dan wasn't even a thought yet. Not even a glitch on the radar. But the king of the free world, and they still have the death sentence. What are we doing? There's a death penalty. Pre-trial can give you help with the judge, probation, prosecutor. Pre-trial. What's the question you're asking there, Johnny? Pre-trial can give you help with the judge, probation. When you say give you help, are you talking about writing you like a reference letter, or probation making a recommendation? Is that what you're referring to? But just so you guys know, in case that is your question, Johnny, yeah, probation can't really give you a recommendation. Just so you know, probation can't be like, hey, this guy's great, you should think about blah, blah, blah. Really, the only thing probation can say is you've done everything you're supposed to do. You've been an exceptional, they can say that you did a good job on probation, but they can't elaborate and give their personal opinions on what should happen. Believe me, I tried, and I know Todd's tried, and they just can't do it. They can't be biased they can't allow their personal feelings to get involved. They're just not allowed to do that. It's a conflict of interest. Yeah, everybody's got their opinion on the death penalty for sure. I haven't done enough of my own due diligence on it. Without putting a whole lot of thought into it, I'm not big on thinking that people should get murdered for whatever crime they did. At the same time, some of these prison sentences can almost be worse than murder. When you've got somebody sitting in a solitary confinement cell, just imagine that, guys. You're sitting in solitary confinement. You're in a small single-man cell. And we're talking small. We're talking maybe 7 by 3. You got your bed, your toilet, your sink, a hole in your door with a shitty window that you might be able to peek through just to see somebody across the hall. You get your food slid in, you get let out for maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. You get let out once in a blue moon to take a shower. You get out maybe once in a blue moon to walk in a circle in a concrete box. Honestly, without being there, I probably would say I would rather face a death penalty than to live the rest of my life like that. When you guys saw my video, when I said I went back to county jail when I was in the federal halfway house, and I went back to county jail for that 20 some odd days, that 20 some odd days was, I can't even tell you like how torturous that really was, specifically like for me. It was just, we were locked down Monday through Thursday. You're locked down 23 hours a day. You're allowed out 1 hour a day to where you can either use the phone or take a shower. And if you're really fast, you might be able to do both. Friday through Sunday, you are not allowed out of the cell at all. No showers, nothing. You're locked down from Friday to Sunday, and then Monday you go back into that same routine that you were in. And this cell was tiny. It was bunk beds, so there's 2 of us in there, and it was, I think it was 11 or 7 by 4. I mean, it was small. I actually had one of the guy that was in there with me he's a pretty amazing artist, and I'll find the pictures and show them to you guys one day. I have them somewhere. He drew photos of me kind of going crazy and just sitting there, but he also drew a full scale like model of what it looked like in that prison cell, where the toilet was, where the sink was. I mean, 23, and there was guys that had been in there for like over a year or 2 years awaiting trial, awaiting sentencing, and that's where they sat in county because they didn't have the ability to be out on bond. They either couldn't afford it or bond was denied. So that's what they sat their time doing. I imagine sitting in a position like that for a long period of time, you can't wait for them to offer you a plea because you're ready just to get out of there, no matter where there may be. You're ready to go to prison. I did it. Sign me up. I'm guilty. Just get me the fuck out of here right away. Wow, Dan, you're exactly correct. 1 hour a day out in solitary, the death penalty would be a blessing compared to that. Yeah, for real, John. I mean, and the thing is, even when somebody, think about it, when somebody gets sentenced to death, it's not like they get sentenced to death and they die tomorrow. They're sentenced to death, then they go sit for however long, 10 years, 15 years, appeal processes. There's a waiting list because they got to kill so many other people before they can kill you. So they got other people they got to kill first. So once they get done killing all those people, then it's your turn to get killed. I mean, it just seems, I don't know. It's like something about that whole thing just seems, can't put my finger on the right word, but it just seems like disgusting. Disgusting. Either killing them or letting them sit in it. That's like so, it strips all humanity away from you. You can't ever let somebody go that is sat in a solitary confinement for 10 years. You can't ever let that person out because they are a fucking animal now. That's like sheltered, broken. They hear loud noises. They might snap. When I was in that little county, we could hear guys going crazy that have been in there screaming. I mean, it echoes. Dude, I'm saying screaming, banging his mattress on the floor, on the wall, making all kinds of crazy noise, and the guards just let him go for hours in the middle of the night, screaming, jumping up on they got these little metal tables where you eat your food, you know, guys are up on the tables, just pounding on these tables with their feet, loud, just losing their mind, trying to express something somehow. And all they want is human contact, and they realize they're not going to get it. So they figure if they do everything they can to create a scene, maybe a guard will come in and beat them up or mace them or tie them up or drug them. And at that point, they're like, that's human connection. I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get. So it's a very, very, very sad, disgusting way to treat anybody. I don't care what that person did. To treat them like that is not fixing anything. It's not correcting any behavior. It's not putting them through anything to make them better themselves. All it's doing is creating a new monster that now you've got to deal with that monster. You're either going to kill him or you're going to leave him like that for the rest of his life because you sure as fuck can't put him back into society like that because he's just going to go right back in because he doesn't know how to adjust. It's insane. Glenn, the kid that went and shot up all the people in Aurora, Colorado was sentenced over 3,000 years. At the opening to Batman. Dan, you're so on point with everything you say. Excellent. Thank you, bud. Yeah, you know, the guy got sentenced to like 3,000 years. Why even, like, okay, you're sentenced to life. Why do you have to say 3,000 years? You know, obviously you can't serve 3,000 years, but is it like they're trying to make some grand statement? And why did this kid go in and kill a movie theater full of people? What happened? Does he deserve to be in prison? Yes. But are they doing anything to find out what caused it, to prevent it? Because it's not, look, there's no preventative anything to stop anything. It doesn't exist. We don't put enough effort and resources and psychological effects. We're so quick to give anybody a drug. Look, I went to the doctor, okay, about 4 months ago. I actually might have made a video on it. I can't remember. I know I talked about it on Facebook. I went to the doctor because I've been feeling like low energy. You know, I haven't really had the same type of drive that I had. You know, I was like, just kind of like working out was like a fucking routine, get winded easy. So I'm like, man, I think maybe my testosterone might be low. You know, I'm 38 years old, might have low testosterone. So I went to the doctor, asked for some blood work. They did the blood work. My testosterone came back real low. I can't remember what it was. It was like a 140 or something like that. And they said standard testosterone for a male my age is somewhere between like 300 and 800 or something like that. So my testosterone was super low, considering to where they're saying the standard is. So I'm like, all right, my testosterone's low, doc. What can we do about that? Are you depressed? No. Are you sure? I'm like, I'm not depressed. I'm actually, you know, I got a good little life going, talk to my kids, I, you know, do my YouTube thing. I'm pretty happy. Are you sure you're not depressed? Doc, I'm not depressed. I'm going to write you a prescription. He wrote me a prescription for, I think it was Zoloft, an antidepressant medication. I'm like, well, I'm not depressed, doc. Your signs sounds like, I'm like, this guy would not stop. He would not. I'm like, doc, I need my testosterone raised. You either want to put me on testosterone therapy, you want to give me some diet I can eat to maybe raise my testosterone, but I'm not depressed. I do not need antidepressants. I swear you not, I walked out with a prescription for antidepressants, and I could not believe it. And now that that happened, I started doing more and more research onto it. And what it is so many people come in and diagnose themselves as depressed, and they get what they want because most insurances, basic insurances, don't cover real solutions like therapy, talking about your problems, what's your diet, dietitians. They don't cover this stuff. So they know they can't deal with it properly. So they don't want you walking around sad and crying all the time. So instead, they give you some medication to just fucking numb you out so you feel nothing. You just walk through life like a fucking zombie. Yeah, maybe you're not crying, but you're also not thrilled and happy anymore either. You're like this zombie walking the earth. God forbid you stop taking your antidepressants. You lose them, you run out of them, your insurance won't pay for them anymore. Your doctor says, oh, whatever, can't give them to you anymore. Now you start having suicidal thoughts because you're not on your crazy pills anymore. Next thing you know, you're in Miami Beach on the ground chewing some man's face off, or killing yourself or killing your entire family because you went crazy because you went off your medication. There is no system in place to fix any of this shit. It's a shit show, and we're all a part of it. So I don't take anything. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I won't take medication. I'll take an Advil or an aspirin or a Tylenol, but I do not take mind-altering medication that is going to change how I think or feel. I'm not going to say there aren't some people out there that truly do need, you know, some kind of a psychotic medication. Or antipsychotic medication. I'm not going to say they don't exist, but I am going to go on a limb, and I am going to state that I do think that people are overprescribed and false prescribed medication that they do not need. All these kids that got ADD, look at their home life. Parents are working 5 jobs, you know, never home. They don't ever sit down for dinner. There's no sense of, like, you know, connectiveness. There's no consequences. Kids don't clean their rooms. Kids talk back to their parents. They do what they want. They go to school. They're all, you know, they're screaming in school, and their kid's like, oh, he's suffering from ADD. He's not suffering from fucking ADD. He needs a parent at home that's going to hold him to what he needs to do. Take his video games away. Take his phone away. Take all of his things that he likes away. Make him clean his room. Make him sit at the dinner table until he's done eating. You know, once you start focusing on discipline and you start creating these routines into a child, but if you start teaching a child now, let's just medicate you up and dumb you down. Here's an iPad. Don't talk to me. That's parenting these days, guys. And it's sad. And, you know, it's part of the problem. Look at Aaron Hernandez, great tight end for the Patriots, murdered his friend, signing a $40 million contract, sentenced to life without parole, was charged 2 additional murders, and he's going to trial. Why try him? Already has life without parole. You know, and I watched the whole thing on Hernandez, and he's actually like living his life in prison. He's living it up. He's top dog in prison. He's actually the warden, like, is his buddy. So this guy's not, I mean, yeah, he's in prison. I'm sure he wishes he was out, but he's not living any kind of a rough life, just so you guys know. And you can go, you know, Google that, because Google has all the answers. And Google's always right. I probably read some bogus shit. Who knows? Exactly, Dan. You're a wise man. Yes, he is king shit for real. You know, I mean, think about it. You're Aaron Hernandez in prison. Everyone's like, I want to take a picture with you. You know, he's a star. I bet you Jared from Subway is not having a rough time in prison. I swear to God, I bet Jared's at a low. I don't know what prison he's at. I haven't really followed it. But Jared from Subway, because I don't know who that is. I don't know what bubble you live in, but Jared, the Subway guy who had got charged with having a relationship with an underage, was a boy or a girl or something. The $1 million Subway man who lost 5 gazillion pounds eating sandwiches. Okay, I don't believe that for a minute. But I doubt he's living a rough life. I know everyone's like, oh, he's probably getting beat up and punked out and raped. Maybe if he sat in county jail for a little bit, yes. But whatever federal prison he's at, you can guarantee it's a protective custody prison where sex offenders have sex offenders are protected in prison, guys. Sex offenders don't get treated the way you think. And not all sex offenders deserve to get treated like monsters. You know, there's a difference between like a guy that had some pictures on his computer versus a guy that was out there scouting little kids and picking them up and videotaping. There's a difference between the level of severity with that. They all kind of get grouped into the same thing, but there's a huge difference in what constitutes a sex offender predator versus a sex offender. How to Catch a Predator. You know, you've all watched the TV show where you've got 40-year-old men going to hang out with 13-year-old girls. Okay, clearly something hugely wrong with that picture. What is chemically broken in this guy's head that is allowing him to make these irrational, super poor decisions? Until they fix that and figure out what it is, this problem, again, is only going to perpetuate, and you're just going to have more and more of it. And then there's going to be more and more people getting pissed off. Where our anger should be is not so much on the person committing that crime, but is on what is causing them to commit that crime. What is the chemical imbalance in their mind that is making them crave and have attraction towards super underage minor children? I have children. I would never want my children to go through that, and I'm sure I would be super angry and mad and wanting to see red and kill if somebody ever did anything to my children. But at the same time, when you take your own personal thoughts out of the equation and you look at the real issue at hand, what's causing it? Why is it happening? That's the real question. And you're not ever going to make any progress until you can know that. You can't just keep putting a Band-Aid on the problem. Sending these guys off to prison. There's no real programs in prison for sex offenders. There's just not. There's Rdap, there's things like this, but it doesn't deal directly with that. It's almost a taboo subject for inmates and prison staff alike, to where they go through the motions, they get released from prison, but now they're like, well, what the fuck do I do now? I still like 13-year-olds. How do I turn this off? Where's the light switch? How do I stop? You know, it's like, you imagine they don't want to be like that. They just are. So that's my thoughts on that one, guys. How can that be right? What is so screwed up someone's mind to have a conversation online and try to go rape a little kid? Yep, I agree with you, John. But again, it's like what they need to figure out what's going on in his mind that's making him like that. Why? What's different in his head, in our head? You know, was it his childhood? Was it his brain chemistry? You know, something. You know, figure it out what it is. We can figure out all of these other things. We can send, you know, spaceships to fucking Mars and send shit to the moon, but you're telling me we can't spend money on finding out what causes people's minds to crave these type of things? I mean, we know what makes us crave chocolate. We know what makes us crave caffeine. It's because there's no market in it. You know, it's like, well, who's going to buy it? You know, that's the problem. It is about money, and if there was a way to market that, and I'm sure there is, you know, but who's willing to spend that kind of money on figuring out what type of drug it's going to take to deflect and block those type of thoughts? So I don't know. I'm torn down the middle on that one. I met a lot of sex offenders while I was in Coleman Low. I didn't know they were all sex offenders at the time. Some of them I met, I thought they were really nice people. And then you find out their crime was, and you immediately start to get this new, like, you start to become standoffish to them. But before that, you saw them as human beings. And then some of them, you read their paperwork and you read their stories, and they're labeled sex offender. And you read their stories, and it's like, man, you kind of caught a raw deal. It's like he was 20 something. The girl was, 16, 15 years old. He was 19, he was 20. There's some situations out there that, somebody surfing the internet, they type in, young girls, and maybe they didn't mean young, like underage young. They're just looking, they're 40, so young to them could be 18, 19, 20 years old. And these fucking pictures pop up on their computers or phones or wherever they're looking at. Next thing you know, feds are there, they're involved. They didn't do anything other than look at the pictures, and not to say that's right or wrong. It's not my place for that. I don't want anybody looking at pictures of my daughter, but I've caught my kids trying to post some shit on Instagram before. They're underage. That, to me, if they weren't my kids, I'd be looking at that picture going, wow, she's really cute, not knowing anything about her age or anything. And I have to explain this to my kids. There's fucking people out there, not just sick people, they're just men in general. When your kids start to turn 15, 16, 17 years old, some of these kids develop faster than other kids, and you can't necessarily tell a child's age by just looking at them. They got all their makeup on, and, clothes that they're wearing is prerogative. It's like, what are you doing, babe? And I had to have these conversations with my kids, and it's like, you can only do so much. So, parents, the kids themselves, responsibility goes all over the place. Not all of them crave hands-on with little kids. There's a difference between VU versus. I've read many papers by credible sources that gets into psychologically a pedophile, that they found out the majority of people view are not the same kind that they feel. Yeah, there's just so much stuff that goes on that we don't want to understand, or we don't take the time to understand, but we're quick to pass judgment on. And I've been there when I got to Coleman Low, and I found out that, 3,000 inmates, that almost half of them were there for some sort of a sex offense crime. I immediately just, in my mind, they were all monsters, until I started to get to know some of them without knowing about their crime initially. And you build a friendship and this and that, and then you find out what they're really there for. And you're like, fuck. Now you feel like I don't want other people to see me hanging out with him, because how are other people going to judge me? Are they going to think that I did that too? You get to a point where you're more concerned about what other people think looking in than, what the real situation is. When you find out what some people actually did, you kind of like wonder, do they really deserve to go to prison for that? Maybe they need some psychological counseling more than prison. But, to each our own on that one. I'm not judging nobody for how they think or feel on that topic. You guys are welcome to comment on that and have your own opinions on it. But opinions should be based on some kind of, some kind of feeling other than just a label. Well, guys, it's almost 1:45 my time. I am absolutely starving. Again, the topic of today's video was why preparation can really be wise if you do it sooner than later. If you're looking to get time off for Rdap, if you're looking to have your letters prepared properly, if you're looking for these letters to make a huge difference in your situation, if you're looking for halfway house time and Rdap time and all of these things, if you're looking to get home to your family sooner, you guys got my phone number. It's in the subject or in the description of this video. You can call, you can text me, we can have a conversation. Doesn't mean you have to hire me. I'm not going to charge you a consultation fee for talking to me. If we determine that my services are fit for you and I'm the right guy to help you, then we talk about what's next from there. But as always, like, subscribe, share my videos, get that word out there. Let's keep this community growing, one person at a time. I'm Rdap Dan. I love you guys. Hope you have an amazing afternoon. Go do something for somebody. Say something nice to somebody. Reach out and help somebody. Rdap Dan, peace.